Yo, what's going on, guys? We finally got some updates for Phase 3 of Season of Discovery. It's going to be going live next week, April 4th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. That is on Thursday, so that is pretty exciting. And they just put out a 20-minute long preview of everything coming in Phase 3. So let's take a watch together. All right, so this was posted on the World of Warcraft YouTube, Phase 3 preview, Season of Discovery, World of Warcraft. Let's take a watch.
I'm Clay Stone, Associate Production Director of WoW Classic.
Well, I'm excited, guys.
Welcome to our Season of Discovery Phase 3 preview. As our team has shared in the past, we have been blown away by the reception to Season of Discovery, and we're so excited to share this sneak peek at what's ahead with you. So with that, let's take a look at what we'll be covering today. We'll kick things off with raid information. Then, a preview of rune abilities.
Raid information, we know Sunken Temple, right? 20-man raid.
Changes and additions being made to world events. A look at what's coming to professions. And close it out with a very important system update. And more, which you're definitely going to want to stick around for.
A system update? What is a system update?
So just like last time, some disclaimers. We're going to put the build up on PTR soon to check our era and hardcore realms. But like all the other phases, Phase 3 of Season of Discovery will not have a PTR for player testing.
We know.
Still, there will be some data mining that occurs in advance of the launch. But as we've been saying since the beginning of Season of Discovery, not everything data mined will actually be in the phase or future phases. So speculators beware. And conversely, there's more to discover in this upcoming phase and beyond than we're going to talk about ahead of time, and we want your feedback. Everything we do across Classic continues to be a journey that is co-written by you, the players.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we can't wait to hear your thoughts
basically
on all
anything in here, just know there could be way more,
I'm sure
guys.
It is a total surprise that absolutely no one saw coming that the Temple of Atal Hakar, aka the Sunken Temple, will be our new and first 20-player level up raid. This raid is jam-packed with 8 bosses,
I love that.
Tons of new items, including new item sets.
Sunken Temple was never like my favorite raid, but to see it as a 20-player raid is going to be really awesome. And maybe they can do some really cool stuff. I was saying the other day, like with the troll mini bosses around the ring, like it'd be cool to have to I don't know. They could definitely incorporate some really cool stuff.
New and revamped epic drops,
new
and
items
up-leveled and rebalanced quest rewards. This is also when the level 50...
you guys know what that means. That means that Diamond Flask, all those awesome quests are now redone with better rewards. So that is going to be sick. I'm excited.
Quests come online, which will provide a wide array of powerful items for each class. Jumping into a quick preview of a few of the bosses, the first boss in this raid is Atel Arion, a massive berserker troll that acts as a bit of a janitor, cleaning up or potentially eating any person or thing that happens to fall down from the atrium above. If the fall doesn't kill you, this guy definitely will. Next up, we have a brand new boss, the Festering Rot Slime. This engorged, gelatinous monster inexorably patrols one of the outer rings of the Sunken Temple, consuming any wandering adventurers hapless enough to cross its path. A bit further into the raid, we have Jamal An and Ogam, a priest and an undead avenger, utterly dedicated to seeing the blood god Hakar return to the mortal world. These two will keep you on your toes and have a few tricks up their sleeve to keep the fight interesting.
Dude, this is going to be sick. Imagine this room, right? With a 20-player raid in this room. I feel like this is actually going to be really good. We might honestly see Sunken Temple be the best raid so far that they've done for Season of Discovery.
The last boss in this preview is the mighty green dragon, Aranicus. Aranicus has been having a bit of a bad dream for the past few decades, and that dream is manifesting in our world in a variety of ways, which Nora will talk about in just a little bit. For those that make it to his lair, we can't recommend waking this big beast up, but if you do and are able to prevail, a lot of sweet loot will no doubt await you. Speaking of loot, here's a quick look at some of the awesome rewards you'll find inside the Sunken Temple.
Show us Dragon's Call.
First up, we have a new take on the Drakestone item, with a new Shadow Arcane spell damage variant. Next up is a rather unique weapon.
Is that 23 Shadow spell damage, 23 Arcane, and damage and healing them by 7. Not bad.
Yes, it's an axe gun. Shamans and paladins have felt left out for quite some time when it comes to having ranged weapons, and short of Egan's blaster, there's not much for them. Now,
whoa, wait a minute.
Egan's blaster.
Let's read this. It's a two-hander, 3.3 speed, 18 strength, 15 stamina. On use, fire the gun axe at your target, dealing 122 to 158 fire damage and an additional 75 damage over 10 seconds. It actually is a gun axe.
Not much
That's
for them.
pretty cool.
Now, you too can have a gun that you can swing like an axe or shoot like a gun, with a cooldown, of course. It's unfortunately a bit slow on the reload. Lastly, we have a quick look at our tier tokens. Similar to AQ40, we'll have 2 different tokens with several classes on each. We really like the token system in Gnomeregan, but it sometimes felt a bit bad to be rolling against the entire raid whenever one dropped. So now we'll have 2 different tokens, and multiple will drop on each boss that can drop set tokens.
Very nice.
And here's a quick look at some of the epic rewards. First off,
Dragon's Call,
we've got a glow up for the classic Embrace of the Serpent robe for healers. We've also updated the sword Dragon's Call.
Nice healer robe. There it is, Dragon's Call. It's called Dragon's Cry. A one-hander, 2.6 speed. Oh, baby. 16 attack power, chance on hit, calls forth an Emerald Dragon whelp to protect you in battle for a short period of time.
One cool thing about this weapon is that we've added several brand new glow effects for weapons in this patch. And this is one of the first items to take advantage of having a very fancy, but still quite classic, new glow. And just like in previous raids, we've got several fun items lined up as well. The first item is the Atalai Blood Ceremony, which allows you and a friend or frenemy to play a deadly game where only one survives. This item is great for when you need to decide something, and a coin flip just won't cut it. The Unorthodox Hex Stick allows you to embrace your inner critter and transform into a disgusting little creepy crawler to dazzle and disgust your friends. These are just a few examples, and there are several cool things coming with this patch. We've intentionally left the best ones for you to discover yourself. Lastly, one bit of feedback we took to heart this patch was that a lot of updated quest rewards for previous level up raids could feel a bit underwhelming. So for Sunken Temple, we've actually gone a step further and helped rebalance and restat many of the existing quest rewards. The first example here is a Vanguard Helm, and you can see we've made it a bit more attractive to the classes that can use it. And Helm of Exile as well. And while not a quest reward,
strength, 5 agility,
we have also carried forward
stamina.
some of the work we did updating dungeon drops in the previous phase, and revamped even more dungeon drop rewards, including Princess Theradris's Scepter. And with that, I'll turn it over to Matt to give us a preview of runes and just some of the new abilities you'll get access to.
Let's see.
Hey folks, I'm Matt Everett, Senior Engineer on the Classic team. I'll go over some of the new runes you might find in Phase 3. Before that, I want to note that we heard your feedback that a lot of runes last phase weren't accessible until level 40. We've tried to balance Phase 3, so you'll find more runes while leveling, but you'll still have some to look forward to at 50. Let's look at Druids first. Gore gives you a chance to reset some key feral cooldowns and generate some rage. And Improved Barkskin gives you all the benefits of Barkskin without the drawbacks, and you can cast it on your friends. Next up are Hunters.
Oh, that's nice. So they're going to show us 2 runes for each class. There's more than this,
free
though,
shot
guys.
with no cooldown. This could be a great 1-2 punch with something like Double Chimera Shot. Focus Fire lets your pet build up Frenzy, which increases its attack speed. You can activate it to consume your pet's Frenzy, boosting your attack speed and granting your pet focus. Next up are Mages. Deep Freeze is a powerful 5-second stun.
We knew this already, right? Deep Freeze was in the game. This is going to be nutty, having Deep Freeze in Classic. Just going to say that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But I think it's going to be insane having Deep Freeze in Classic.
Damage instead. Balefire Bolt lets you live on the edge of risk and reward, dealing heavy damage but decreasing your spirit. If you reach 0 spirit, you die. And by the way, if you're leveling a new mage, you might find this rune earlier than you expect. Paladins. Improved Sanctuary makes you even tankier, increasing Sanctuary's damage blocked and damage dealt back to attackers. Wrath lets you crit with Consecration and applies your melee crit chance to your Holy Shock, Holy Wrath, and Exorcism spells. Let's look at Priests. Pain and Suffering allows your Mind Flay ability to refresh the duration of Shadow Word Pain, while Surge of Light causes your crits to make your next smite or flash heal instant cast. Rogues. Honor Among Thieves is incredibly powerful, granting you a combo point each time a party member scores a crit. It does have a short cooldown, but you'll be swimming in combo points with this rune.
Honor, that's going to be absolutely nutty for Rogues.
Cut to the Chase makes it easier to keep Slice and Dice up by allowing Eviscerate and Envenom to refresh it back to its max duration. Next up are Shamans.
Well, let's see the
when
Shamans.
When you deal melee damage, Mental Dexterity applies your intellect to your attack power, and then applies 30% of your attack power to your spells.
Whoa.
Riptide is a fan favorite that instantly heals the target for an initial amount.
Riptide, that's going to be great having Riptide, and I feel like Shaman healers are going to be so incredibly fun with Riptide.
It gets consumed to power up the chain heal. Warlocks. Pandemic makes damage over time spells even more overwhelming by letting them crit. With this rune, you can summon the iconic Felguards to supplement your stable of demon pets.
So I am very excited. Like, I main warrior. Warlock is my second favorite class. Having Pandemic in, meaning that Corruption, Unstable Affliction, Curse of Agony, Immolate, Curse of Doom, Siphon Life, all of these abilities can crit. Plus, having a Felguard is going to be nutty. Now, most likely, Fire Destro will probably still be the rating spec. But having Pandemic and Felguard in PvP is going to be a blast.
The Felguard is a powerful melee damage dealer capable of both tanking and dealing out serious punishment. He's not the only new demon you can summon this phase, but I'll let you discover that on your own. Warriors. With Taste for Blood, your rend damage lets you use Overpower once per 6 seconds. Sword and Board gives your Devastate and Revenge a chance to reset Shield Slam's cooldown and make it cost no rage. This time,
so this whole, like, Taste for Blood, whenever Rend ability causes damage, your Overpower ability will activate for 9 seconds or 1 attack. This cannot occur more than once every 6 seconds. Like, this is going to be interesting nonetheless. Like, you're going to actually be using Rend. But, again, it doesn't, like, my problem with the Warrior runes so far is that they don't, like, fundamentally change how the class is played. There's nothing... Really, all these runes do for Warrior is, like, give them, like, percentage increases or like proc things that they've already had, right? It doesn't feel much different than playing like an actual classic warrior. So hopefully some of the other runes that we don't see here, maybe they could just add some cool stuff, right? Like Heroic Leap, maybe Blade Storm, stuff like that. I don't know. They don't even have to be super strong or overpowered. Just make it a little bit more fun to play the class. Like, I played warrior for the first 2 phases, and then I go in and play my lock and like my rogue and all these other classes. I'm like, wow, these classes are so different than classic, but warrior still feels like classic. I mean, Sword and Board is really cool. When your Devastate and Revenge abilities deal damage, they have a 30% chance of refreshing the cooldown of your Shield Slam ability. That's pretty cool. Maybe you could see some really cool PvP builds incorporating Sword and Board, but I guess, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
Warriors get a bonus rune. The much requested Gladiator stance.
Oh,
lets you live
my
that sword
Gladiator stance!
Fantasy. This increases your damage when wearing a shield, as well as letting you use abilities from other stances at the cost of survivability.
I was literally just saying Sword and Board and like making a PvP build, and then they put Gladiator stance. Gladiator stance is on your boots. Sword and Board is on your bracers. An aggressive stance that increases damage while you are wearing a shield by 10%, increases block chance by 10%, but reduces armor by 30 and threat generated by 10. Oh my God. That is awesome. I am so pumped to be playing my warrior. Like, literally,
and we can't wait to see what warriors are able to do with it. I love watching players work together to find. I've really been looking forward to bringing to the season, and we can't wait to see what warriors are able to do with it. I love watching players work together to find all the new runes each phase, and I'm looking forward to this one. Up next, Nora will join us to talk about PvP updates.
Hey, thanks, Matt. My name's Nora Valletta, and I'm a lead software engineer on WoW Classic.
I just want you guys to know that I've been like kind of really bored with Phase 2, like waiting for Phase 3. So far, we're 9 minutes into this video. Everything that they've talked about is fantastic. I'm very excited. And this comes out next week. We don't even have to wait a month. This is crazy. This is crazy.
I'm here to talk about some of the other updates we've got coming in Phase 3, starting with PvP. One of the things we've learned from previous phases is that PvP can be a bit rough when the only thing available is PvE gear that is generally set up with output stats rather than survivability stats.
Oh my God, they're fixing PvP.
We're going to be introducing a brand new level 50 PvP set
that requires
ranks 5 through 7 to equip.
Yes.
This is similar to the rank 10 and rank 13 PvP sets in that it's a full 6-piece set with appropriate PvP set bonuses. There will also be a starter set available from a new faction called the Emerald Wardens, but we'll go into more detail on them later on. Here's a quick look at a few of the new PvP set items. You'll notice that they are a bit more specialized and focused than the previous level 60 PvP sets were. Each class will have a variety of sets available to them, such that multiple different specs or roles are covered.
Okay, so that's awesome. So let's go back and look at this screenshot. So basically what they just said was that so paladins are going to have a ret and a holy, you know what I mean? Maybe even a prot set. Warriors will have like maybe a prot and a holy. Shamans will have an Ellie and an enhancement. Druids will have a set for each spec, and they're more tailored towards those specs, which is really, really nice. So let's look at some of the stats here. So like, I guess this is a paladin piece right here. So 14 stamina, 14 intellect. Improve your chance to get a critical strike with melee and ranged attacks by 1%. Increase your spell damage by 16. That's really nice. With a set bonus with another 18 spell damage on there. So this looks like it would be like there's no strength on it, right? So these legs would be like Holy Paladin set. And this Druid one here would be, it looks like a Boomkin set. Really, really cool stuff. I'm excited that they did this.
Have a variety of sets available to them, such that multiple different specs or roles are covered. We're also making a few adjustments to the Blood Moon event, including adding brand new rewards for level 50. We'll also be adding a new currency for the level 50 rewards called Massacre Coins, which you'll earn when killing higher level players in the event. We'll be retiring the Bloodstained commendations that are currently available from the Bloodcoin vendor. Any existing commendations that you have will still function after the patch, but don't hold on to them forever. They will expire after 2 weeks. We think it's okay if you're able to bank these now to give you a bit of a leg up on PvP ranking at the start of the next phase, but we don't necessarily want you to be able to hoard enough coins to get you all the way up to rank 14 later on when that rank becomes available. We'll have a new PvP Honor consumable token for level 50 as well, purchasable with the new currencies. And how about some gear? Here are a few of the new items available via the Blood Moon event in Phase 3. Do note that the Headhunter's Barbed Spear is a warrior-only weapon.
Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. Headhunter's Barbed Spear. Hurl the spear at the target, immobilizing them for 5 seconds. That is out of control awesome. I love that. It's only for warriors. Really cool. Corrupted Smashbringer. A two-hander. Chance on hit, knock target silly for 2 seconds. 3.6 speed. The crossbow, your range attacks, leech 5 health from targets, so you're like a demon hunter now. And then a relic for paladins, 36 attack power when fighting Dragonkin.
Also realize that ranged hunters may have felt a bit left out last time, so we've gone ahead and given them a pretty strong crossbow option in this round. Well, Phase 3 of Season of Discovery will soon be upon us, and with it comes new loot, new opportunities to gain experience, and new adventure. Let's take a quick look at our new PvE world event called Nightmare Incursions. Picture, if you will, the 4 emerald portals scattered across Azeroth. At this point in history, the Dragons of Nightmare, Terrar, Ysondra, Emerus, and Lethan have not yet arrived to spread their terror. However, as you approach each portal, you can't help but sense hidden danger. Something's not quite right.
All right, so we got some more content to do, guys. More stuff to do. This is good.
Corruption and overrun with dragons, treants, and other poor souls driven mad by the corruption. But beware, not all foes are alike. Some enemies can be defeated by a single seasoned adventurer, while others are perhaps too powerful to be faced alone. Nightmare Incursions offer repeatable PvE content for levels 25 through 50. To check it out, simply enter one of the 4 emerald portals located in Duskwood, Ashenvale, Hinterlands, or Feralis. This is a great new opportunity to earn experience, and those who choose to jump in and fight the corruption will have the chance to earn reputation with an all-new faction called the Emerald Wardens. With great danger comes great rewards. The Emerald Wardens will be very grateful for your help and will be offering a selection of choice new items to sweeten the deal. One of the cool things about Nightmare Incursions is that we plan to include some rewards at different player levels, as there will be content available for players roughly level 20 all the way to 50 across all 4 Nightmare portals.
That is awesome.
The first example is this Nightmare Siphon Trinket, which could be really fun for low-level alts. For level 50, we have the Roar of the Dream, a somewhat unique ring that has a sizable spell damage proc on it. Lastly, we also plan to take a page from the Burning Crusade playbook and make a level 50 PvP set available at Honored with the new Emerald Wardens faction.
Oh my god, that is awesome.
As some of the other PvP item rewards.
So basically you can get the set by just getting the reputation with the Emerald Wardens or whatever they were called. That is really, really cool. That is straight from TBC. I love that.
But it's a good stepping stone into the better items later on. With the launch of Phase 3 comes a host of interesting new updates to professions. Continuing on from the first 2 phases, we'll be introducing a new quest chain to give players access to new nightmare armaments, crafting recipes, as well as some fun things for engineering, enchanting, and alchemy. We've also learned a few lessons from the previous phase of Professions, so the cost to access the recipes will be essentially free in terms of raw gold, and the cost of the recipes that Ziri offers in Gnomeregan are going to be decreased as well, in case you want to buy additional recipes for completion or you have an alt that wants to snag the recipes for themselves. We think gold sinks are important and are going to explore different ways later on to do that are not so directly on the critical path of gear progression. Here's a quick look at a few of the crafted items you can make this phase. There are many more across various professions and for various specs and roles. As you can see, some of these items offer interesting new on-equip effects which are applied while you're under the influence of the Nightmare. If you'd prefer to stay nightmare-free, we've got some cool new items such as the Void-powered Slayer's Vambraces, which can grant you immunity to fear for 15 seconds. We do plan to allow you to pick up specializations this phase, as well as allow you to level to 300 in each profession. Additionally,
okay, so professions are not capped at anything. You can go all the way to 300 with your professions. That's good to know.
Here. For example, we are adding a quest to allow you to get additional potion, elixir, and flask procs when crafting those types of consumables. You'll also have to do a little bit of legwork to unlock these things, but the benefits should be well worth it. The lion's share of our new toys involving professions specs will be coming after level 60, and we have some very cool things planned there to allow you to make the most of your professions. Well, that was a lot of updates. I hope I didn't forget anything. Josh, I'm not forgetting anything, am I?
Now that you mention it, Nora, there is one small system update you might have missed. But first, hi, I'm Josh Greenfield, Senior Game Producer on WoW Classic. So there is one small system change coming, and honestly, the update is so minor we almost didn't mention it, because we didn't think anyone would really care, but since we're all previewing things, we figured we might as well. So, in 1.15.2 with Phase 3, you may happen upon from a faraway land that has
dual talent specialization. We got dual talents. Oh, I'm pumped. I'm sorry I yelled. I'm so sorry, guys. That was just really fucking exciting. Holy crap. Actually, to be a little bit more
specific, he has 2 sets of special talents to share. Like I said, we were pretty sure this wouldn't be a big deal to most players.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
Entirely. So, with that, we're approaching the home stretch, but we've got a tiny bit more to discuss, and we want to take some time to cover a few other miscellaneous topics, commonly asked questions, as well as a quick look at how things will start to shape up at level 60. So let's jump right into that. So the first topic here is world buffs. As with the previous phases, we'll continue to allow you to use the previous world buff up through the current max level.
Hold on. So we are getting dual talent specialization. So this makes everything so much better. Can have a PvP spec, a DPS spec, or a PvP spec, tanking spec, healer spec, tanking spec. This just makes everything so much better. I'm sorry that I'm harping on this, but I'm
the new raid,
very
Sunken
excited.
Temple will also include a new world buff.
New world buff from Sunken Temple.
Some rather powerful consumables available for exchange on a certain NPC using materials found in the Sunken Temple raid. These are spiritually similar to the Zanza elixirs that you could obtain by exchanging items found in Zul'Gurub. They're quite powerful, so you'll definitely want to bring them with you to the raid when you can. Also, as with previous phases, we did want to clarify that bankable, repeatable turn-in items will not function to allow you to level quickly.
Okay, so no troll necklaces or water pouches, guys.
The preparation aspects of original WoW and things like pre-questing are great. But being able to bank hundreds or even thousands of repeatable quest turn-in items to get multiple levels right when the phase begins is not going to be supported in this or any phase going forward. To be clear, this includes things like Marks of Honor, Wastewander water pouches, and the troll necklaces from the hinterlands. One of the big lessons we've learned in Season of Discovery is how tricky it can be to balance the level up journey and the outdoor world, but to also encourage players to play multiple characters. It's tricky to manage, especially against a seasonal backdrop where the content phases are relatively short by World of Warcraft standards. To help out with this a bit, we introduced a very powerful Discoverer's Delight XP buff at the midpoint of Phase 2. And while that was effective at increasing the speed at which you could level alts, it didn't really help to reduce the fatigue that came with leveling your first main character. By way of a compromise, in Phase 3, you will earn 50% additional XP from all sources from levels 40 to 49, and this will be active right when Phase 3 goes live. This is just to give a slight nudge right away. It will still be a sizable number of hours to hit 50, but this will help move that along without feeling like you're either just flying through zones or conversely in danger of running out of quests if questing is your preferred leveling method. Note that the 100% buff from 1 through 39 will remain in place as well.
Okay, overall, so basically we're 1 through 39, we get the 100% buff, and we're getting 50 from 40 to 49. So that's pretty good. It's going to make the 40 to 50 grind a lot less grueling. You know what I mean?
These buffs are a decent solution, but they aren't what we consider to be ideal. We're going to carry a lot of what we learned forward if we do something like this again, and maybe look at other adjustments we can make to help smooth the leveling curve in general. Additionally, as with Black Fathom Deeps before, Gnomeregan will give a sizable amount of XP for each boss kill, so continuing to run that with your guild will be a worthwhile activity when it is available to you. On the same token, we see Nightmare Incursions as a good quick way to get a good chunk of XP if you find yourself wanting a change of pace from your normal leveling routine.
Very cool.
There's a lot of repeatable content that gives experience there. As for the raid release and lockout schedule, we've been thinking a lot about this, and we've decided to shift Sunken Temple to a weekly lockout, and it will be available right at the release of Phase 3.
Very good.
Kind of similar to what we did with Gnomeregan in Phase 2. Players will have 5 full days to hit level 50.
That, I think, some people might not like that, but in my opinion, that is probably one of the best things they could have done. I think the 3-day lockout is actually causing people more burnout than you realize. Like, I think that that's a solid move. Keeping it a 7-day lockout, that's perfect in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think.
If you want to try and get in a raid during that first lockout, and then the raid will work like any other weekly lockout, resetting on Tuesday or your normal regional lockout day. We decided to make this swap for a few reasons. First, we've gotten feedback from players saying they would like to have a bit more consistency with their raid schedule, and with the raid size going up to 20 players in this phase, being able to plan long-term is even more important.
Yep.
We'll also talk about this a little bit more in the next few slides, but we're also thinking ahead to what the raiding landscape will look like once we hit level 60. That also informs this decision. Lastly, on this topic, we will be sure we are being generous with drops to compensate for this change. That's a good segue to talk about level 60 endgame.
Ooh, level 60 endgame.
We think it makes sense to dig into a few more details of what you can expect starting with Phase 4. This preview is very, very early and in no way comprehensive, but it's just meant to be a minor sneak peek at some things we have cooking. Again, to stress that much of what
I'm
you will
excited.
see
They're about to talk about 60 preview stuff.
And some specifics could and likely
Wasn't
will
expecting
change.
that.
This is more of a look at our general thought process rather than the actual set-in-stone plans we have. As we alluded to a few slides ago, we plan to standardize raid lockouts from level 50 and beyond to a weekly reset. This includes things like Zul'Gurub, Ruins of Ahn'Qiraj, and Onyxia's Lair. We also want to assure with our itemization updates, many of the items, even in early raids, remain relevant for a pretty good long time. Ultimately, this is a very classic approach, and many items you got, even as your pre-raid best in slot, such as the Hand of Justice or the Savage Gladiator chain, remained good for several tiers, and we want to carry this forward.
Very good.
With this in mind, however, we know you
That's
will
like something that I was, I was actually worried about. Like, that's all stuff that in Classic WoW is so important to be part of the game. Like, you hit 60, and like you're farming Hodge and or SGC, all that stuff. Like, I was worried that wasn't still going to be in the game because I was like, well, there's going to be better items. But it's really nice to hear them say like things like that will still be valuable multiple tiers into the end game.
Want to run several different raids a week, but we want to avoid a situation where logistics gets messy because you have to contend with a large number of irregular, unwieldy raid lock timers. By the time Blackwing Lair is out, for example, there's going to be a large menu of relevant things to do at level 60, and being able to plan and schedule activities on a predictable cadence is going to be very important.
Yeah.
Last quick note on this, while Upper Blackrock Spire is technically a 10-player raid, it's never had a lockout, and that will remain true. It's essentially a 10-player dungeon and will remain that way. So go farm those Briarwood Reeds. Another very frequently asked question we've received is, what about weapon skill racial bonuses? From the start, we've suggested that you shouldn't need to worry too much about things like orc and human weapon skills long term, and that you should feel good about choosing whatever race you want based on their aesthetics or other bonuses that race gets apart from weapon skill bonus. Every phase, we get asked for a status update on this, and we just wanted to confirm that yes, the solution is coming at level 60. At level 60, you'll be able to discover a method to essentially swap in and out up to 2 weapon skill bonuses for your character. So, for example, if I were a Troll Fury warrior and I had a mace and a dagger, I could swap my passive bonuses to +5 maces and +5 daggers.
That
Please
is
note that these
awesome.
weapon skill bonuses do not stack with each other or with a certain race's normal passive weapon skill bonus. So in the same scenario, if I were a human warrior, I already get +5 maces from my racial skill. So instead, I might want to use +5 bows and +5 daggers so that maybe my bow skill had a better chance to hit if I was pulling higher level mobs. Just like your racial skills.
I think that's a really good way that they did it. So you're not really getting you're not gaining anything by being a human or an orc warrior. You know, like other classes can be exactly on par. I was worried that they were going to say like it stacks, and then I was going to be like, well, it's the best choice, but it's not. So that's really good the way they did it.
Passives will stack with any weapon skill you gain from items, such as Obsidian Edge Blade or Maladath Ruined Blade of the Black Flight. These unlockable passives will be available right at level 60, and while there will be a short discovery to unlock them, everyone who wants them will have access to them early on. Continuing that line of thought, yes, priests will also be able to unlock other races' unique priest spells as well, such as Devouring Plague and Fear Ward. We don't want to spoil how this will work just yet, but just like weapon skills, we do get asked about this a lot and wanted to confirm that this was also coming and would be available early on at level 60. There will also be discoveries.
Hey, all the priests out there, good stuff.
These spells as well.
They've been saying it since the beginning,
this is the
right?
last big item in our level 60 preview, and we think it's the most impactful, as items are obviously going to be a major focus of the new level 60 endgame. We're essentially totally revamping tier sets to add multiple variants for different specs and roles that each class can fill.
We knew this too, going into phase 1. Remember we data mined the Judgment and the Might set for Warriors and Paladins, and they had like different stats on them and stuff, and people were like, oh my god, they're going to make different tier sets for different specs. So it's good to see that was true.
We don't necessarily intend to make a full set for every single niche playstyle in every raid tier, as some classes could end up with upwards of 5 to 7 sets every few months. But we do want to try and cover a lot of the major roles, as well as some new playstyles we've added to different classes, so that most unique roles each class has access to get something cool at some point during their level 60 journey. Additionally, we plan to revamp many existing non-set dungeon and raid items at level 60, as well as adding new best-in-slot or nearly best-in-slot crafting options at 60. We think there's a lot of fun and interesting things we can do with the level 60 professions and profession specialization crafts, and we plan to expand on those to keep crafting more relevant for a longer period of time. Lastly, swapping profession specializations will be easier and more flexible, but will likely have a cost associated with doing
that's nice.
So. We're
So
still
being able to
ironing out
respec
the
from
final
like a
design
weaponsmith
for
to
what
an
this will look
armorsmith.
like. But if you're familiar with how this worked in Burning Crusade, that might be a good starting point to inform how this might work. Finally, here's a few quick examples of what potential new tier sets could look like.
Let's take a look.
These are very much not finalized, so any of the stats or set bonuses could and probably will change.
So that's the rogue set, the Night Slayer hood, 17 agility, 22 stamina, fire resist, chance to hit, chance to parry. Lawbringer shoulders, these look like Holy Paladin, the Holy Pally set. So basically, if what they're saying is true, there's going to be a like strength version for like Ret Paladins, which is really, really cool.
So first off, you'll notice we've got a tanking rogue set with a very interesting 8-piece bonus. We've also got a Shockedin Paladin set that really plays up key abilities such as Exorcism and Holy Shock. Lastly, we have a Boomkin set that really leans into some of the bonuses we've recently added to Moonkin form. Again, these are somewhat early on, rough draft versions of some of these items, but we think being able to make exciting new variations of these iconic item sets is very cool, and it's going to be a defining feature of the level 60 endgame. So with that, we're done with today's presentation. Thank you for bearing with us on this one, as it was a long one. We've had a blast on this wild season of Discovery journey so far, and we honestly can't wait to get Phase 3 into your hands, as well as provide a bit more information on Phase 4 as we start getting a little bit closer to that. As always, we want to express a heartfelt thanks from the WoW Classic development team. Thank you for playing with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the feedback, and thank you for the participation in helping us develop this season. We'll see you again when Season of Discovery Phase 3 goes live shortly. Thank you again, and goodbye.
Well, that is some interesting stuff. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's a lot of crazy. It's going to take me a while to process all of that. I'm actually going to go through and break this whole video down into multiple videos to make for you guys to go over everything, but I will also upload this as like just like we watch along together and maybe have some good discussions in the comments. But yeah, lots of stuff coming. It seems like they put a lot of work into Phase 3. A lot more work than Phase 2, in my opinion. There's so many different systems, like the Nightmare incursions. Those sound great. All the new PvP sets. It just seems like there's a lot more to it, a lot more to do, and we're going to level 50% of the way faster to 50, so that's really good too. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I got to break a lot of stuff down for you guys, so hit that like button, subscribe, jump on my Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerdance if you want to hang out with me live. I'll be live tonight, pretty much Monday through Friday. I'm live every single night. So thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.